They have come up with a fantastic design of designing the museum in three sections. One section being his journey, which will talk about how Gandhi transformed himself from a child of fear to a man of freedom. The next section will be our journey, that the other leaders, and Dr. King, Nelson Mandela, others have followed into his footsteps and brought about massive social change. So the visitors will get to study there. And then the third section is my journey. Now that I've seen what Gandhi has done and what others have done, what am I going to do in my life to make this world a better place to be the change you wish to see?
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Spotlight Houston, where we bring you the best in the people, places, and events in Houston. This week we spotlight the Eternal Gandhi Museum Houston, the newest museum in the greater Houston area. And now your host, Blanca Quesada.
Hi, today I am so honored to introduce you to Mr. Atul Kothari. He is the co-founder and trustee of the Eternal Gandhi Museum, formerly known as the Mahatma Gandhi Library. And this museum is beautiful. It's a world-class cultural and educational museum that I think everybody is going to enjoy when they go by and visit. Mr. Kothari was very instrumental in creating this newest museum in Houston. And he's here on Spotlight Houston to tell us why he felt it was important to have a powerful museum dedicated to the life of Gandhi. So welcome, Mr. Kothari. The Eternal Gandhi Museum, from what I understand, is the only museum of its kind in the country that's dedicated to Mahatma Gandhi. And you have received lots of recognition from leaders around the world, like the Dalai Lama. So how does it feel to know that you and your trustees have created such an important space in Houston?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank Almighty who has made it all this possible. Just when we needed, what are we going to do next? Some help from somewhere comes out. Right now, for example, we want to spread the news of the museum as it is about to open in August. And here you are, Blanca, you're taking us to your listeners to tell them about the museum. So similarly, when we started on this journey back in 2016, we ran into one or the other kind of situation where people were extending help, and we found the just right kind of help to do the right kind of thing. And that here we are today. The blessings of Dalai Lama and, of course, the Congressman Al Green, who arranged a $3 million grant from the U.S. government, the museum, Mayor Sylvester Turner, Corbin County Judge K.P. George, and of course, many private individuals and foundations such as Houston Endowment, the Elkin Foundation, MD Anderson Foundation, who have all helped us out to be where we are today.
Well, for some of our listeners that may not have heard of Mahatma Gandhi, would you please let us know who he was and why he is so recognized worldwide?
Yeah, Mahatma Gandhi, at least in my estimate, has changed the course of the human destiny for ages and eons. Humans have been settling their conflicts, violence. So there's a ruler and there's a slave. The only way a slave could become free is to fight with the ruler and gain the freedom. Gandhi for the first time showed the world that no matter how large a conflict is, it is possible to settle it non-violent. So for example, British Empire, the greatest empire the world has known, was ruling India for nearly 200 years. And he fought the freedom fight with them non-violent. And British left India in 1947, granting freedom to India without firing a single shot. So since then, Dr. King, Nelson Mandela, others have followed into the footsteps of Mahatma Gandhi and brought about massive social change around the world. If anything works, it is non-violence. Violence never works. And this is the direction that Mahatma Gandhi has shown the world. And that's why we believe he's a person who everyone in the world should know.
Yeah. He was a very humble man, too.
Absolutely. So his last word in the back of his autobiography, he said, I have nothing new to teach. The truth and nonviolence are as old as the age.
Yeah. And he studied law, right?
Yes, he studied law in England. And then, of course, from there, he went to South Africa to work for a firm as an attorney. And then he finally found his voice when he was faced with incredible amount of discrimination. And he made a determination there that he needs to do something to wipe out this disease.
Yeah.
And that's how his journey started.
Yeah. And a lot of slavery, I'm sure he saw, not just in Africa, but in India as well.
Yes, absolutely. Because he was in South Africa for 21 years. He fought many battles to government there to grant the rights to the neighbors and so. And then he came to India and then he started the freedom struggle for India.
And of course, A lot of people recognize him with his little round glasses
Yes.
and the way he dressed.
Yes. So just to share as to the way he dressed is, as soon as he reached India, he saw a large population of India was living in poverty, and he did everything else to uplift the villages and the villagers. One time when he was traveling, he noticed in the town on his path to where he was going that people were sleeping in the street with nothing but the loincloth. So when he reached his destination, he decided to change his attire forever, saying, how can I have any more than my fellow countrymen who can't afford any more? And that's why he started that.
Yeah. And he had the staff also as well.
Yeah, that was because of his age. He started.
Yeah. He did go through so much in his life for many people. And of course, the politicians and the rulers weren't exactly happy with him.
But one thing what he did is, see, that is the power of nonviolence. What happens is that your opponent is not your enemy. He's your friend. And that's how, so for example, I'll give you another example in the world of nonviolence. Just ask yourself, does every mother in the world not use nonviolence and love for her children? She'll sacrifice everything, asking for nothing in return. So once you have that kind of philosophy towards your opponent starts respecting. So to give an example, when I was in South Africa, the ruler there jailed him. In 1939 or 40, I'm trying to remember the name of that General Schmutt, if I remember correctly, visited India. And while in jail, Gandhiji had made some sandals for him. He went to see Gandhiji and says, I cannot afford to have this sandal. It is too precious and I've got to return to you because I have to live up to your standard. So that's the power of nonviolence and love. That even though to start off, opponent may be an enemy, but by the time the conflict is settled, they are both friends again.
So his teachings are very relevant even now.
Yeah, unfortunately, human beings have been facing this problem forever. Every generation thinks this is the bad time. But think about World War II, think about other times in the famines and other things that happen in the world. So that will continue to happen. The only thing is, I request the listeners and everyone who's interested in this matter is to practice your truth. Whatever your truth, nonviolent. That is the biggest condition that we have difficulty controlling ourselves. When you get angry or jealous or selfish, we resort to violence to achieve our goal. But that violence begets violence. As Gandhiji has said, an eye for an eye will make the whole world.
Yeah. So the building, did you go work with several architects to come up with a design?
Yeah, interestingly enough, as I mentioned to you, we came across many great company to make this museum. So, for example, the architect, when I first had approached her and we were initially thinking of making a 1 acre piece of land, she just laughed me out. Gandhiji, 1 acre? No way. All right. So finally, when we acquired 3 acres, we went back to her. The name of the architects is Hardy Aller Architects, and lead architect is Laurie Westrick. And similarly, when we had gone to Houston, Norman to seek the support for the project, we were asked a question: do you have any museum consultant on board? I said, wow, is there somebody like a museum consultant? And we were lucky to find Brian Crockett, who has got Estonian background and who has guided us every step of the way. He helped us select Solid Light, is a museum design and build firm out of Louisville, Kentucky. And they have come up with a fantastic design of designing the museum in 3 sections. One section being his journey, which will talk about how Gandhi transformed himself from a child of fear to a man of freedom. The next section will be our journey, that the other leaders, like Dr. King, Nelson Mandela, others have followed into his footsteps and brought about massive social change. So the visitors will get to study there. And then the third section is my journey. Now that I've seen what Gandhi has done and what others have done, what am I going to do in my life to make this world a better place to be the change you wish to see?
Why is the building circular?
Interesting, very nice. Inspiration for our museum came from Little Gandhi Multimedia Museum in Delhi. When I visited in 2006, where it has recently opened, I was stunned by the way they had made the museum. They had used the greatest and latest technology of the time, and they had introduced Gandhiji's philosophy in a fun and game center. I said, this is the way to take it to the next generation. So the people who were responsible for that in 2016, when we were planning to start our museum, I went and met with them and we're discussing, and I asked them a question: do you have any preference for the shape? He said, not really, but you might consider making your museum circular because the circle has infinite size. So the non-violence is infinite possible. That's why the circular shape came.
Oh, great idea. I like that.
Yes, we have been helped. I mean, incredible. Every step of the way, we have been helped just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that through this museum, people are going to listen and learn and try to understand. So, what exactly is the goal for this?
Yeah, our vision of the museum is a world where all conflicts are settled nonviolent. And to achieve this vision, we are going to be promoting, our mission is to promote universal values of truth, nonviolence, peace, love, and service. So if we can pass on to the visitor simple message that as far as possible, settle your conflicts nonviolent, then our museum will have achieved its goal.
Are you going to be providing special programs or special educational programs?
Yes, one of our main objectives of the museum is to have school children come by the busload, primarily targeting middle school children, because once their moral compass is one set, they don't need any law enforcement, any courts to conduct themselves because they will be limited by their own thinking. So that is one area where we also have a lot of special programs such as movie, what you call symposiums, and so on and so forth. The museum has,
Special guest speakers?
yes, guest speakers, of course, seminars,
Yeah.
performances.
I'm sure a lot of events as well.
Yes, we already have currently at this time 3 events going on. First one we call is Thousand Lives for Peace. This is to celebrate Mahatma Gandhi's birthday around October 2nd and bringing about all communities together and perform an item of culture which is related to peace and violence. And then, of course, we give prizes to the winners of the Mahatma Gandhi contest at the function. Then we also have a walk for peace prior to the Thousand Lives for Peace. Last year we started golf tournament, which is on weekend after the October 2nd. And this year we are working on starting a bike ride to promote health and spread the message of peace and community.
Oh, great. Well, I know that when people come to the museum, the first thing they're going to see is a statue of Mahatma Gandhi outside the museum.
Absolutely. That statue has been donated by the government, and that statue will be surrounded by larger than life portraits of Marriott Corrigan, Dr. King, Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Lech Walesa, and Betty Williams. All of them are Nobel Peace Prize winners, except for Mahatma Gandhi. However, we want to convey to the visitor that the philosophy of truth and nonviolence is universal. For example, Betty Williams and Marriott Corrigan used it to bring peace in Ireland. Lech Walesa used it to establish the first democratic institution behind the Iron Curtain, that is Solidarity Union. And of course, Dr. King utilized it in America to give civil rights to African Americans, and Nelson Mandela used to gain freedom for South Africa. So we want to show the universality geographically, politically, race-wise, and this is not something monopoly, but this has been used everywhere.
Well, this is a 13,000 square foot museum. So
Yes.
when you walk in the door, what's the first thing that you see?
Okay, first thing you'll be entering is will be the lobby, and receptionist will be welcoming you. Behind the receptionist desk will be an LED wall, and that will say, with Gandhiji's picture in it, truth alone prevails. And in Sanskrit, it is called Satyamev Jayate, because this is the tribute to truth, because only if truth is practiced all around the world, then this world will become hell right here. Now, almost all of our problems are arising because we either we use the untruth for our own selfish reason and other reason. So only if we can stop doing that. After that, the visitor will be entering the museum and go to the 3 sections and I just mentioned to you. And within that, there is also a theater that is a custom 6-minute movie made by Solid Light. And when they come out, they'll be entering the gift shop. And on the other side of the gift shop is a auditorium where the 3 ashrams in which Gandhiji lived in India will be displayed to communicate to the people the whole idea of self-reliance, which was of ashram means to live by your own labor. And you show them that how powerfully we can transform the world only if we can be self-reliant. So and then from then, of course, there is restrooms and there is office area and there's a conference. So this is what the 13,000 square feet system, of which 5,000 square feet will be the museum gallery.
Will there be, is it like the life story of Mahatma Gandhi where we can start? I mean, he was born in 1869. So does it start from his birth through, when his life ended?
Sure. It starts in 1869. The first gallery is called Early Life and will share with visitor how he became a practitioner of truth, how he was an ordinary child, afraid of God, making mistakes. And then the second gallery will be his trip to London to become an attorney. And from there, the next gallery will be his stay in South Africa, the discrimination he faced, how he tackled that with nonviolence. And after that will be a full gallery dedicated to Salt Satyagraha. I don't know how many of your listeners are familiar with the Salt Satyagraha, but it is called Salt March. When British ruled India, they used to tax common salt. So Gandhi, because that has to be consumed by the poorest of the poor, and therefore Gandhi wrote to the British official that tax should be removed. And British officials will laugh. Say, just because you say they're not going to remove the tax. So then he said, okay, on this day, I'll march from my ashram and march to the seashore and make my own salt. It is about a 240-mile journey or 30-day period. He goes, makes his salt. Nothing happened. Gandhi wanted confrontation. So he writes to the British official, and on this day, I will go to the salt dome that is owned by you, a town called Darasana, raid it and take the salt without paying the tax. Now the British government was. So wait a minute, how dare you break our laws? So they arrested him in night, thinking the whole demonstration would fizzle if he's arrested. Gandhi half expected this could happen. So he had trained one of his staunchest followers, Miss Sarojini Naidu, a world famous poetess, as to what to do next day. Under the leadership of Sarojini Naidu, there were about 2,000 truth practitioners who, without any arms in their hand, they marched up to the salt dome to pick up the salt. They were hit savagely with the steel tip sticks. They were bloodied, wounded, their spine cut open. Nurses came, picked them up. Next group went down. And that went on all day long.
Oh my God.
There was a UPI reporter at that time, whose dispatch went to 2,200 newspapers. His dispatch was a very long dispatch describing day's event. The critical sentence was the last. It essentially said, the West has lost any moral authority to rule anyone in the world. When British citizens read this report, and this was 1930, they asked themselves, are we barbarians? All these people want is soft. This is how we treat them? So the melting of the heart started in 1930. And by 1947, the greatest empire the world has known simply walked out of. And in 1930, Time magazine awarded Gandhi the Man of the Year on its cover. And this changed the destiny of the human beings forever as to how to settle conflicts non-violent. And then the last one
is that when he became worldwide known?
He was quite well known even before that, but that was the time the world really took notice of, including the US Senate, where one of the senators said, just like England lost US because of the tea, they are about to lose India because of salt.
Yeah. So, Mr. Kothari, what has been the reaction of the Indo-American community here in Houston?
It has simply been phenomenal. I don't know enough words to describe. It is powerful.
Yeah. So can the community still give to the museum?
Yeah, sure. Our construction budget is $10 million, of which we have raised 7.825 million. We got a little over 2 million still to go. So if you'd like to support and donate, just go to www.egmh.org, and there you can donate online, either using a credit card or using your bank.
What about volunteers? Are you still needing volunteers?
You never have enough volunteers. Especially when we start the school tours, we would like to have, together with the paid docent we are going to have, we would like to have volunteers there too, because kids are difficult to control.
Yeah. And
especially that.
That's so true. For people that can't make it to the museum, do you have virtual tours on your website?
Yes. In fact, if you go right now, there is a virtual tour button right at the top of the website, and that'll show you his journey section of it.
So what is your favorite or most important area of the museum and why?
For me personally, the movie theater is the one that I like the most. In 6 minutes, they have encapsulated his life and his impact around the world and how many more Gandhis have been born since he passed. And in a matter of 6 minutes, they do a fantastic job of relating this to life.
Do you plan on having more things on exhibit at the museum?
Yes, we would like to have some traveling exhibits come time. And again, the key is that truth, non-violence, peace, love, and service are eternal values. As long as human DNA does not change, human beings always crave for this value. The idea is to how do you communicate to the next generation? So we expect within 5 years, the communication technology will have advanced so far, we'll have to redo the whole museum again using the technology available at that time. And that is going to be the key to the success. And if any of your listeners have any connections to Apple or Disney or Sesame Street, We'd like to get in touch with them because they are at the forefront of the community technology. We'd like to get them interested.
Yeah. So what is your website or your phone number where people can contact you?
Yeah, the website is www.egmh. That is eternal, E for eternal, G for Gandhi, M for museum, H for Houston, egmh.org. And the telephone number is 832-850-EGMH or 832-850-3464.
And do you have the exhibit in different languages?
Yes, the whole museum has 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Hindi.
Planning on adding any more?
Well, as of right now, we'll see. So we've gotten a suggestion whereby hopefully we can come up with an app that whereby you can choose whatever language you want to listen to, think you can do that. But that'll be your free store.
What is the most important thing that you want our listeners to know about the Eternal Gandhi Museum?
The most important thing I can tell you, and this is based on my personal experience, all the people, without exception, to whom we have given a hard tour of the museum, they all have said, seeing is believing. Come and see, and you will see how moving this museum is. Because in the virtual tour, you get an idea of what it is. But until you come and see and feel and touch, you will not. I'll share with you one example. One cardiologist came and his wife came to visit the museum, and we were stunned. Within a couple of days, they came back and said, we'd like to hold a fundraising event for you. I said, are you serious? And they said, when we do the fundraiser, a lot of people are asking if they can see the museum before they commit to the donation. So we had arranged an event at the to show the kids a hard to the 40 people, right? And believe it or not, in one night, they raised 225,000.
Wow.
It is that moving an experience.
Wow. Yeah, it's an important museum. It's a powerful museum with an incredible mess of peace.
Thank you.
Yeah. So officially, when does the museum actually open?
It'll be sometime in August, very soon.
Yeah. So is there a fee, an admission fee to go in?
Yes, this is a ticketed museum. For the adults, it is $15. For seniors, $12. For children or a group of 10 or more, $10. And for children coming on free trip from the school, it'll be $5.
Are you going to have any free days?
We are thinking of keeping it Thursday, but again, board has not made a decision.
Yeah.
We are seriously thinking about making Thursday.
Yeah, it seems most museums here in Houston have
Sure.
free time on Thursdays.
Absolutely. And we are following footsteps of large museums in Houston. They are closed on Mondays. They normally have free day on Thursday. So we want to learn a lot from there before we venture out.
Yeah. So I guess we just need to visit your website to make
Please.
sure that we don't miss your grand opening.
Absolutely. There'll be an announcement there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me on here on Spotlight Houston and informing us about this incredible museum and Gandhi's history, because a lot of people need to know about him and what he did, the difference he made, the difference he made. So thank you.
No, thank you, Blanca, for inviting me and to your entire organization to help spread the word. And you have my personal invitation, you or your staff, when you get a chance, please do come to visit the museum. I can tell you again and again, seeing is believing. If you think you have heard me and you are moved, trust me, when you come and see, it will be yet another very different experience. So I urge the listeners, visit the www.egmh.org, support if you can, at least subscribe to our monthly newsletter so we can keep you updated regarding our act. And thank you once.
Thank you. And it's always better when you're there personally, right? To actually
absolutely.
see it and literally almost feel it when you're there.
That's right.
And so the Eternal Gandhi Museum, like I said earlier, it's a world-class cultural and educational museum that's dedicated to preserving and promoting Mahatma Gandhi's legacy and, of course, nonviolent conflict resolution by cultivating universal values of truth, nonviolence, love, and service. So if you get a chance to, please visit the website, and when they have their grand opening, please attend. You won't be disappointed. So
Thank you so much.
thank you as well for joining me on Spotlight Houston. Please stay in touch and let me know if you have any show ideas.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Spotlight Houston, a production of Story Zone Media.